Okay, what we're going to do is just, I'll give you a brief synopsis of what occurred. Questions are going to be limited. As far as BCI's investigation, you're going to have to refer those to BCI, but we'll give you a pretty good explanation what led us to James last night. Okay, so at approximately 6:21 p.m., White County SO down in Tennessee contacted us. We have a camera system called Flock, and they're able to basically tune in the Flock, and they were seeing a vehicle that was of interest in a homicide in their jurisdiction. The vehicle belonged to the victim, and the vehicle was seen on Center Ridge Road, and they called us and advised that the vehicle possibly could be driven by their suspect. His name is, stand by, I want to make sure I get this right, Jason Norris, 327 of 1983. They considered him to be a suspect and to consider him armed and dangerous. As a result of that flock hit, we saturated the area and we located the vehicle on James at 4802 James Avenue in the city of North Ridgeville. In the process of us setting up a perimeter, Mr. Norris and another male who resides at that residence actually came out the front door towards the vehicle that he was driving, which was a Jeep product, and officers gave commands, and there was an exchange of gunfire. Mr. Norris was hit one time in the upper torso. He was medically treated by our officers until NRFD arrived, where he was transported to St. John's West Shore. We were advised approximately 8:28 succumbed to his wounds. BCI was called to the residence to investigate the officer-involved shooting, and we basically stand by on the perimeter, and they conducted their investigation, which wrapped up around midnight of last night.
Do you have any connection as far as what Norris and the local resident, were they related?
They were related, possibly a cousin, if you can.
So that is that residence itself is his grandmother's house?
You said his?
Can you come to the mic?
The residence itself is the grandmother's house of the person we shot.
Was the grandmother home?
She was home.
Did one of them produce a weapon, and what type of weapon in order for?
Yes, he produced a weapon, shot at officers. Officers returned fire, hitting the subject one time in the chest.
So it was Norris who had a gun. Norris fired at police.
Yes, that's what the preliminary investigation is showing. In other words, talking to residents down there who witnessed and advised us of what occurred. And but yes, as of now, that is what we believe occurred. Now,
Was the gun found on Norris?
the gun was found in the driveway where Norris fell.
What type of gun was it?
It was a handgun. Outside of that, that's part of BCI's investigation.
I'm familiar with the flock system, but you're saying that the sheriff's department in Tennessee, the sheriff's office, they can view that
Yes,
flock system?
as long as we give them access to the system, all they have to do is ask, and Flock has changed the game as far as they can put it in a vehicle and see where, if that vehicle hits on a flock throughout America, throughout the United States, and that's when they called us noticing that it was hitting in North Ridgeville.
Was it a single hit? And was it a license plate reader, or was it a camera? Or both?
A license plate reader, that's what Flock is.
And that was a single hit around 6:21?
Correct.
How long do you believe?
Yeah, we had multiple hits going into Westlake, coming back from Westlake. We had 2 hits on this particular camera, so that's why we saturated the area. We knew it didn't get to the next Flock camera, so we knew to look in a certain area.
Do you know anything about what happened in Tennessee?
I don't. Outside of that, it was a girlfriend, and the vehicle belonged to the girlfriend.
And the girlfriend is deceased.
The girlfriend is deceased.
You say girlfriend, Norris's girlfriend?
Yes, that's what we were advised, but I would urge you to contact the SO there just to confirm those facts.
When did that homicide occur?
Sometime, I believe, they gave us a time period of 4 a.m. the previous day.
So 4 a.m. Tuesday?
Yes, I would say so, yes.
What's that, 4, 8?
For, let's say, morning hours
4
of...
a.m.
Yes, yeah,
Did you say it was homicide of the girlfriend?
correct. Yes,
Was that a shooting?
there is a gun involved. Yes, they were looking for a particular weapon at our scene, so I'm assuming it's gun-related.
Was that particular weapon similar to the weapon that was recovered in the driveway where Norris fell?
That's undetermined yet, but we have reached out to that agency this morning to make sure we're linking evidence they possibly may need.
How long do you believe Norris may have been in North Ridgeville?
I don't know.
Your flock alerts or flock hits were all,
Yes, yesterday the first flock alert we got was at 6:21 p.m. They actually called up here, and that's why we were aware of what they were looking at.
How are you feeling, that your officers had to be involved in something like that?
How does it make me feel?
Yeah, just,
Well, they handled it very professionally. In other words, they took it upon themselves, where obviously there was a flock hit. We were told by Tennessee that this is an armed and dangerous suspect. We could very easily said we couldn't find the vehicle or not attempted to find the vehicle, but our guys took it upon themselves to find the vehicle, put themselves in harm's way, and unfortunately the person is deceased, but the officers were acted very professional. Only 2 shots were fired by our officers. One made contact, but we had multiple officers down at the scene, so they were very restrained. In other words, this wasn't a 30, 40 gunshot event, which it could have been because it's a very populated neighborhood. So I'm very proud of my guys where there was great restraint shown, where 2 shots were taken. Suspect went down. We actually got a compliment from the hospital for what it's worth, that the medical treatment was very professionally done upon his arrival. They said we did everything possible from the applications we applied. So I'm very proud of my people today.
What about this cousin? Are you guys talking to him or?
Yeah, we interviewed him yesterday. Yes, and this is the gentleman that came up here. I don't think, and this is me looking into what was said, I don't think he was very familiar with North Ridgeville because he was asking neighbors down there where Granny lived. So I don't think this is a guy that spent time here. In other words, he didn't even know where Granny's house was at.
Did Granny and or the cousin know about the killing in Tennessee?
The only thing that the suspect told them is that he got in a fight with his girlfriend down in Tennessee, and he just needed to get away for some time.
Did you say the county again in Tennessee?
Yeah, it's White County.
White County?
Yes.
Why like the
White County Sheriff's
Yeah,
Office?
as in the color. Yes. White as in the color. Yes.
The
White.
White County Sheriff's Office?
Yes, sir.
Does cousin or anybody else face charges potentially in this?
No. In other words, no. It was I don't think they understood what the man was alleged doing in White County. I think they just gave him a place to stay based upon the excuse he used for being up in Ohio.
So what's next? I mean, is there going to be body cam footage?
Yeah, and that's part of BCI's investigation. Obviously, we sit by and we watch as far as and give BCI what they want. In other words, yesterday BCI took the weapons that our officers used. They took the physical evidence that we collected at the hospital. So BCI is basically the investigator of the police department, and their outcome will tell us basically what their opinion is.
What's the status of the officers involved?
They're well, no injuries. They've been put on paid administrative leave per our policy for the next 3 days.
2 officers.
Yes. Like I said, each officer shot one round.
But only one struck?
Yes.
One, okay. And was the Jeep in the driveway of the home?
Yes, the Jeep was in the driveway of the home.
Okay. What kind of Jeep was it? The
Jeep
Compass.
Compass.
What kind of distance was there between the suspect and the officers they had to shoot?
One was, he was in the backyard of the residence, distance, and the other one was in the street on, in front of the residence.
And
So it wasn't a close encounter, but it certainly wasn't.
this makes an insignificant.
No, that's okay.
This, but what color was that Jeep? I basically want to see if it's in our video.
Gray,
It's gray?
yes,
Okay.
with a Tennessee plate.
And that was the girlfriend's vehicle.
Yes.
So, as you understand it, he kills girlfriend in Tennessee, steals her car, comes here.
That is how I understand it, correct.
And did he kill her in White County?
That's something you're going to have to ask White County. Basically, what I can confirm is that White County called here at 6:21, stating that this vehicle was hitting on flock cameras. The guy possibly driving the car is their suspect, Norris, and we should consider him armed and dangerous. That's what I can actually confirm that came out of White County SO.
At that point, when you get that first call, are there then subsequent flock hits?
I think we had two.
3 total flock hits.
Go ahead, Tony.
Was it after?
So we had the first flock hit we have, and I don't have the times in front of me, but it's all within like a 10-minute period. The first flock hit, he was northbound on State Route 83 at Hedgerow. The next flock hit, he was eastbound on Center Ridge Road at Learnagle, so headed towards Westlake. And then I believe it was approximately 6 minutes later, we got another flock hit of him westbound back on Center Ridge Road at Learnagle.
And so the first one is 6:21? That's when you're doing the flock?
I don't have that time in front of me exactly, but I think that 6:21 is when we actually got the phone call.
from the SO.
And then, because we had no reason to look for this until they notified us. We don't know this guy's. It's not like it's a warrant hit or something. So obviously then we look back, and I believe the history showed that the first time he came in our city was like 6:02. And then I think the last hit we had was around 6:14 or 17. I don't remember exactly now.
And he had actually been interacting with neighbors trying to figure out.
So neighbors in the cul-de-sac told us that he was driving through the cul-de-sac. Anybody that was out, he was asking, hey, does anybody know where Ethel lives? So one would assume he knew what road she lived on, but not which house.
And Ethel is the grandmother?
Ethel is the grandmother.
So there were no warrants or anything pending, he was just a person of interest at the point?
Yes, sir.
It all went down?
Yes, sir.
Do you have access to any mug shot of him or anything?
Yeah, we do have a picture of him. This is from his BMV through the state of Tennessee.
Do you have multiple copies of that or just that?
Just that we can make them for you.
Okay.
Yeah, not a problem.
Are you releasing the names of the officers who fired?
Not at this time.
What can you tell us about their experience?
Both of them are on our tactical team. They're very experienced. Obviously, they're put on the SWAT team for particular skill sets, but they're handling the situation well, and obviously we're checking up on them to make sure they're doing okay.
Was this a tactical response, or
No.
did they just happen to be?
Yes, they're shift officers as well.
Has this department had an officer involved in shooting before, or even in recent years?
20 years ago, maybe 15 years ago. Yeah, I have personal experience.
You were involved in that shooting?
No comment.
Does that help you as a chief to kind of?
It does. It does. And the thing, people say, we were having this conversation this morning. It does, because everybody who goes through something like this has a different perspective in how they deal with it. Some deal with it better than others, but it comes back to the individual. And that's why I think the administrative leave is important, where they can just come to their own thoughts, their own conclusions, but we're here to support them. But yes, it does.
What's been kind of the family's level of cooperation and understanding in all of this with you guys?
The
Family of the,
Mr. Norris?
yes.
We notified them. They took it well. We called the brother, who is the next of kin, and we believe he either lives in Tennessee or Florida. But family notification was made. But we did advise the people who live at the house. But they took it okay.
Have grandma and cousin been cooperative with you guys?
Yes, very much so. Anything
You
else?
said 41-year-old Jason Norris, correct?
Oh, he was born in '83. I'll let you do the math. March of '83. March, yes, 27th of 1983. Yes. Anything else?
Thank you. Want to just get a, are you okay, Dave, with that mugshot?
Yeah, we'll get a better one.
We can get you copies.
We'll make 25 copies.
Yeah.
Whatever you guys want.
Hey, Summer, can you make copies, please?
We could put it on a wall, we can all shoot it over there, maybe a bit better.
That's up to you. That's the way you want to do it.
Yeah, when we're good, we can disconnect here, we can all get a shot.
Anything else as a group? Mary, do you want to say anything? Good. Anything else, guys? And girls, I'm sorry.
Any idea when you expect body cam could be released?
That's going to be up to BCI when they, obviously, they're in charge of the investigation, but we're working on some residential neighborhood video as well. So when that becomes available, obviously, we want to show the community that we're being transparent, and we're going to get that out as soon as we can.
You say you're working on it. Are you collecting it, or are you just trying to convert it?
Yes. Yes.
And those officers were wearing body cam?
Well, some weren't. What this was, we have a take-home card program. So what happens is we had to saturate this area so people coming from home went directly to the area. So body camera was not available for all the people because instead of coming to the station, they just saturated the area because we were looking for the vehicle. So some of the officers weren't wearing body cameras.
Every day when a guy goes home, an officer goes home, they take their body cam and dock it so this stuff can download for evidence purposes and obviously recharging.
Right. So when they get here, they pick it up, put it on, then they go out on their shift. But some of these officers never arrived at the station because they were summoned down to that area. So fortunately for us, this happened where we had plenty of manpower because we still had both shifts available, the people coming in and the people who were already here. So we were able to put a lot of people down in that scene, and that's the thing. And there was a tactical advantage because we were setting up on the house as they exited. In other words, we weren't ready to go. We were about ready to get on the PA and call them out. But what happened is they came out before we got on the PA. So we had some tactical advantage.
So the two officers who fired, were they both wearing body cameras?
One was, one wasn't.
And so you said the Jeep was in the driveway,
Yes, sir.
and then Norris was coming out of the home.
Yes, the one male that lives at the house full-time and him were going out towards the vehicle, but our officers were already set up on the perimeter. But the idea was once we were set up on the perimeter and ready to go, we were going to call Mr. Norris out. But while we were in the process of doing that, they both came out the front door.
Right. And then you guys asked him to
Yes.
stop, or what was the direction? that
There
you
was
pointed?
numerous commands, and we'll let BCI reveal what they, in other words, I don't want to get involved in that actual situation, but yes, there were commands given.
And what was the exact thing that led you to that particular house?
Our officers knowing where people live. In other words, we knew there was a connection with this house and the state of Tennessee. So obviously, our officers knowing the people they police knew they needed to check James Road. And I give them credit for knowing the public they serve, because obviously they were right.
And that vehicle was in that driveway?
That's correct. We knew there was ties to Tennessee at that particular house.
Do you have prior history with that house?
Yes.
What sort of was the nature of those calls?
Make a records request, and we'll get you everything you need.
It's going to be lengthy.
Yes.
What was the block number on James Gray that you?
4802, sir.
42?
Yeah. But there was some great police work done. Like I said, I'm most proud of the restraint that they showed. They were put in harm's way, and they responded correctly as far